Most people think you get one loan, build two homes and away you go, but that's not usually how you fund a dual occupancy project. And if you get the finance and structure wrong at the start, you can be stuck halfway through your build right when the money matters the most. In this video, I'm going to show you how a small dual occupancy project gets funded in 2026. I'm using a real project with real numbers. It's a side-by-side dual occupancy, building two homes, both rented out and held for the long term. The all-in cost was around $2.37 million. Now, I've delivered hundreds of these projects with my team, and this is the part almost nobody explains properly. Everyone talks about the build, but the loan structure is what decides whether the project actually works. Because by the end of this project, there's one outcome most people don't even realize you can engineer. Not just two new homes, but two rented homes with most of the debt sitting against properties that are bringing in income. I'll show you exactly what that means and how it happens. Let's get into it. First, let me show you what we're looking at, because every single number in this video comes back to a real project. It's a standard side-by-side dual occupancy on one block. One 3-bedroom home and one 4-bedroom home. The build cost lands around $1.1 million. Site purchase, build, contingency, all in around that $2,370,000. Now, what does it produce? Both homes rented out at around $850 a week. That's $1,700 a week combined. Roughly about $88,000 gross per year. End valuation around $2,780,000. Equity uplift, give or take, around $400,000. This stacks up, but here's the thing I want everyday landowners to understand. Around 80% of what we do here at Little Fish is dual occupancy. That part isn't new for us. What is different about this one is the price point and the strategy. We usually run bigger custom jobs and sell them at the end. This one is smaller, and the plan is to build and keep both homes. And the way that you fund a build to keep is structurally different from the way that you fund a build to sell. That's the bit that catches people out before they even start, which brings us to stage one, acquiring the site. For this stage, you want a mainstream lender, one of the big banks. Why? Because at stage one, you're doing three things at once. You're refinancing your existing home loan, which just means replacing it with a new one, so you can free up the equity that you've built. Equity, by the way, is just the difference between what your home is worth and what you owe on it. Then you're using that equity to fund the deposit on the new development site. Big banks are good at all three of those things. It's their bread and butter. For this project, the split looks like this. Around $582,000 sits against the home that you live in. That's your owner-occupied loan. New money is around $1.18 million, funds that go towards purchasing the new site. Total settlement is around $1.73 million. That puts the loan at around 80% of the value of the property the bank is using as security. That's what lenders call the loan to value ratio, or LVR. But here's what most people miss. The purpose of those new borrowings is set on day one. The $552,000 sits against your home. The other $1.18 million sits against an asset that's already producing income, because the existing house on that new development site gets rented out while you progress through your DA or planning permit. DA just means development approval, as does planning permit. The town planning green light from council to knock down and rebuild. So from settlement, the loan is doing what it's meant to do. I'm not your accountant, your tax position is its own conversation. But if you don't get the structure right at stage one, you're playing catch up for the rest of the project. And once that structure is in, it is expensive to fix later. By the way, if you're trying to wrap your head around this stuff before you commit to anything, join the Little Fish Network. It's free and it's full of developers asking questions and helping each other get this stuff right early. Links in the description. Now for stage two. The DA's through, planning permits done, it's time to build. And this is where most people get caught. The lender from stage one is usually not the right lender to build with. There are two reasons for that. First, mainstream big banks aren't always comfortable funding a build like this. 2 dwellings on one title, build to keep at this scale, it's not always their lane. You need a construction-friendly specialist, basically a lender who builds their entire business around funding development projects, not just home loans. And secondly, specialist tends to assess your borrowing capacity differently. And on a project this size, that difference can be the difference between the deal working and the deal stalling. You need to talk to a broker who knows the construction lending market, not just the big 4 banks. For this project, stage 2 looks like this. The new lender takes over the $1.18 million site loan from stage 1, then adds about $740,000 in construction money. The new loan ends up around $1.92 million. Which is about 65% of the finished property value. It is at the variable rate, so any future rate cuts flow straight through to you. And once the build's done, convert the construction loan to principal and interest, which just means that you start paying down the loan, not just the interest. Tenant both properties, so rent each one out for circa $850 per week. Done. But miss this lender swap or leave it too late and your project can stall right at the point where every day is costing you holding costs and bank interest. Here's the kicker. This is the bit I really want you to understand. At the end of the project, both homes are built, both are rented out, and the total debt is around $2.47 million. The debt is split across both loans. One is still your normal home loan, the other is the loan connected to the development site and the 2 new rental homes. And here's the important part. Around 70% of the total debt is connected to the properties that are now bringing in rent. So instead of having all this debt sitting against your home loan, most of it is sitting against assets that are helping pay for themselves. That is the whole point of the structure. It starts back at the beginning, when the existing house on the development site is rented out while the planning approval is being worked through. Then when the project moves into construction, the loan changes again. The new lender takes over the site loan and adds money needed to the build. Then, once the build is finished, the construction loan becomes a normal long-term investment loan. So it's not one clever move at the end, it's a series of steps. Set up the first loan properly, move to the right lender for the build, keep the debt clearly separated, rent out the finished homes. That is how you end up with most of the debt connected to the properties that are producing income. And that matters because if you get the structure wrong, you can finish the project with the same amount of debt, but without the same clean separation between your home loan and the investment debt. That is where people leave a lot of value on the table. Now, whether that creates a tax benefit for you or not depends on your personal situation. That is something you need to speak to your accountant about. But from a project structure point of view, this is what you want to get right from the start. There's one more piece worth mentioning because it comes built in when you build new. Depreciation. Depreciation is just the part of the tax system that recognizes buildings and fittings wear out over time. When you build new, you've got a lot more of that available than when you buy secondhand. There is 2 streams to it. The first is the building itself. Slab frame, walls, roof, fixed cabinetry. The long, steady one, same amount year on year. The second is the fittings. Carpets, blinds, ovens, dishwashers, hot water systems, and the aircon. That's the front-loaded part. Bigger in the early years, smaller as time goes on. After construction, you engage what's called a quantity surveyor, a qualified professional who measures and values everything in the build for tax purposes. They prepare a depreciation schedule. Your accountant uses it each year to work out what can be claimed. The fee itself is tax deductible also. I'm not preparing the schedule, I'm not interpreting it. The quantity surveyor produces it and your accountant uses it. I'm just pointing out when you build new, you've got more on the table than when you buy secondhand. That's a structural feature of building to keep, not advice, so pulling it all together. A project like this does not work because the build looks good. It works because the structure is right from the start. You buy the site with the right lender, you move to a lender who can actually fund the build, and you keep the home loan and investment loans clearly separated. Then, once your build is finished, you get a quantity surveyor to prepare the depreciation schedule for your accountant. None of this is flashy, but it is the stuff that decides whether the project works or not. And if those pieces do not line up yet, that's not a bad thing either. It just means that you're not ready to put real money on the line and do a project like this. Get the structure right first, because finance is not something that you can fix at the end. The lender you choose at the start affects whether you can build later. The way the loans are split at the start affects what your position looks like years down the track. You do not refinance your way out of a bad starting position. You set it up properly from day one. If you want to take this further, here are the ways we can help. First, make sure you're inside the Little Fish Network. It's free and takes 2 minutes to join. If you want more direct help, we offer one-on-one mentoring where you've got me in your corner walking you through your project step by step, helping you avoid the costly mistakes most first-timers make. If you're still trying to find the right block, we also offer a buyer's advocacy service. We help you secure a site that makes sense for your development goals. And if you'd rather have someone handle the whole project from start to finish, our team runs the full project management. We deliver the entire development for you so you don't have to figure out the day-to-day yourself. There's a link below to book a call with me and we can figure out the best path forward for your situation. If you're still here, I appreciate you sticking around right to the end. Do me a favor, hit the like button, drop in your questions and comments. I'll jump in and answer them all as I go. I'm Peter Kelly. Until the next one, see you at the top.